MRecktv. This MRecktv content is sponsored by 9-7 Entertainment presents the movie Raina.
Lost myself. I waited still for a glimmer to arrive. I know it will, but dream.
Peace, world. We live on MRecktv. I got a special guest in the building. My brother, let the people know who you be.
What's up? First of all, thank you for letting me come on your dope podcast, M.Reck. I've been watching you for a minute, brother. But my name is David Bradley, also known within the B.E.T music, television ranks, and film ranks as D. Brad, and my students know me as Mr. Bradley. And let me see, man. I started out interning with MTV and VH1, moved from there to B.E.T. Worked on Rap City the Basement. By the book is the show that I started on. Rap City the Basement. I moved on to that, and then they had me come with them to New York. And when I was on Rap City, I was blessed and fortunate enough to help co-create a show called Spring Bling with Uncle Luke from 2 Live Crew.
Wow.
I was blessed enough to be there in the beginning to put artists like on national television for the first time, artists like Eve and Beanie Siegel, and introduced Trinas of the world, and was fortunate enough to be around Cameron when he first was starting Dipset, and I was fortunate to be in a position to help out people I was a fan of anyway, because I love the culture. And then I moved on from BET. And there's so much more I did at BET. I just can't recall off the top of my head, just to name a few. But I was basically one of the main producers of The Basement, pretty much like the freestyle booth segments, the extra acoustics added to it, the stop flashes and goes, that was me. I pretty much added concepts to The Basement. So it went from a regular video show to like a conceptual show from beginning to end. Then I left to take a break that I needed to take because of something that kind of almost went astray with the former president of BET, Stephen G. Hill. There was what I considered sexual harassment. There was a situation that I was in with him where I felt the energy was not energy that you bring towards someone that's your underling, that's your subordinate. Certain fondling that you just don't do at any time for someone that's underneath you.
Hold on, pump the brakes.
What's up?
So now, you said certain fondling?
Yeah, just the certain things. Thank you. Let me clarify that. I'm glad you stopped me. Because what I thought, what I perceived, being in the limo with this dude, I've never really been around dudes that will grab their genitalia and just be staring at you. That's not the type of dudes I hung with. And there was a whole process before that. There was a whole process before that of, hey, let's take this dude out, let's wine and dine him, things of that nature.
So let me ask you this. That you elaborated on that aspect, do you think that was a test?
Yes, but what happened is I failed it miserably because I wouldn't even look at the dude. I was looking out the window. Because in my mind, there's probably a camera right there. And if I just glance at you, the picture gets taken. It's like, oh, you're looking at this dude's, his hands in the middle of his pants, what you doing? Or in the middle of his legs. But you understand? So from the side view, if I looked at the dude and you snap a picture, it looks like I'm looking at the man fondling himself. Wasn't going to happen. So I stayed out the window. And this has been since 2007. So if Stephen G. Hill has a problem with it, he probably should have came out years ago and said, D. Brad, you're lying. That never happened. And I would have jumped out immediately and said, oh, shit, I was wrong. What man wants to carry that weight with him? He was sexually harassed out of his situation. The man, so what they did with him is his people told him to be quiet. Because if you speak, you know who you with. Nigga, I'm Omar to this nigga.
So
from the wire, like D. Brad is coming. Like,
got you. let me ask
Oh,
you
real
this.
quick,
Not
before
to
you go on
cut-
with that,
yeah,
I apologize. I
Yeah, no
left
problem.
there, went on to Chappelle's show. I worked on surprise.
Salute
I
you,
was
man.
Dave. Thank you. I was Dave Chappelle standing the first season, the second half of the first season.
Gotcha.
And I'll tell anybody, I'll tell him to his face, I'm going to take some of the credit for raising his level, for allowing him to see his level of consciousness. Because anybody that will watch this that knows me know I've always been Pan-African, so this ain't nothing new. And I would always kind of look at Dave, and Dave would never joke with me, but he would always build with me. So, once a week, we dip off to the 15, 20 minutes on the side talking, blah, blah, blah. Real like, so even when he left, he told me what was going on. He caught me in catering and said, hey, man, I hear that you're going to try to write your own show. And that was the sitcom that I had written that Little X had invested some of his own monies into to help me get produced, that later on, the B.E.T wrecked all of that. But so Dave comes up to me, he tells me this, and I go, yeah. He goes, listen, I'm gonna try to work in with some skits next year, because he heard about me from the talent director who saw me in plays. But Dave and Charlie knew I'm not Ashley Larry. I was like a theater guy. I'm a thespian. So me being Ashley Larry wasn't.
Let me stop you there. When you say I'm not Ashley Larry, what are you referring to?
Like, that wasn't the play that the talent director saw me in. I was playing a functioning cocaine addict. I was playing the lead. So then they asked me to go from playing that lead right there to go to those depths and then go, now just play this character. Because I'm not that shtick comedian. You feel like I do comedy. I can play the comedian, the comical character, but to go do shtick, the things that Donnell put into it, I would have never thought of doing.
Gotcha.
The aspect that he did, because Donnell is a comedian. I go on stage, I will do shtick. I was in the Negro Ensemble Company, the same school that Denzel and Samuel Jackson went to. Matter of fact, Denzel's best friend was my teacher. Wow. I was also at HB Studios, the same studios that Puff went to when he did Raised Under the Sun. So I come from theater. So you understand? So I'm not really good. That wasn't my thing, and he knew that. So it's not. And once again, you're really good at what you do, brother. Because Donnell might have taken it as a slight, but it's not a slight.
That's why I had to cut in right there, because I know Donnell, Ashley Larry. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want him to feel like
he got mad at me a few years ago.
Why is that?
Because he was on a radio station, PGC, one morning. I was coming from Miami, and we was listening, and he was just kind of shitting on Dave. And at the time, he was mad because Dave rolled out. So I was like, I'm going to call in.
But hold on. Pump the brakes there.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's news to me, and probably news to my audience. I never heard that.
He was upset. He was upset about... No, he wasn't doing an interview. He was just talking. Go back to any interview in the first 2 years after Dave left that Donnell did. Even Charlie talked about it. It's that Charlie was like, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. When Dave left, Donnell then was like, yo, but what about us? So for the first little while, and Donnell would have to admit it if he saw this. And of course, he couldn't say he don't know me. He was upset. Rightfully so, to an extent. It's just that I felt that morning, the things that he was saying on air was kind of like, yo, hold on a sec. Like, so I called up and I said, yo, man, I was there. Like, you're right. You came up with it. I'm rich. I remember saying I was there. I was like, Dave gave you this, bro. And he didn't like it. And I think he thought that I was like, you was just a production assistant. But he didn't know that I had worked with Big Tigger. He also didn't know that the other host, Donnella, I was her producer. So when he was like, yo, this dude, and so I heard Tigger go, who? And he was like, this dude, D. Brad. And Tigger was like, oh, that's D. Brad. So Tigger gets on the phone. And because Donnell thought that I wasn't that type of dude, but both of the hosts told him, like, y'all work with him. He is the type that will call you on some like that. So, and it wasn't no beef. I just was like, I think the way that you're going about it is not cool, because he's not here to defend himself. And people are already saying he was on drugs. They were already saying all these things that wasn't true. Dave had family in Africa. I forget the country. Dave's mother and father were, I think his mother was the first professor of African American studies in a college. His father's, if I'm correct, a college educator. So Dave came from money. So it was easy for him to so when he would school me, he would just tell me like, yo, no matter what they offer you, wherever you go, do A, B, C, and D. It's their job to censor you. That's why you see all this craziness, because I do the most wildest shit and then let them censor me. Then by the time they censor me, I got what I wanted anyway. And then he was like, ever let them, no matter how much money they offer you, never compromise. And I remember he pointed in my chest and he said it. He was like, never let them compromise your integrity, no matter how much money they offer you. And
that's gems. That's gems.
Yeah, and there was other situation where I was the stand-in, set PA, and I also did like video playback because Dave would like to rehearse and then watch himself. So it would be like the executive producers, me, and then the director. So I remember one time, hopefully Dave remembered that if he came back to him. He was frustrated because everyone would laugh, because the show was just so funny. Like, we laughed 80% of the day. We would work 6 days a week, but we would laugh at 80% of that day.
Having fun.
And he was, right. And he was with them, and he was like, yo, I'm frustrated. And they said, why? And he said, because y'all are laughing at everything I do. I don't know what's funny anymore. So they left him be, and I watched him for a little while. And I had never really spoken to him until then. So I walked over. I said, look, man, I don't mean to be in your business, but I can be a hater. And it's easy for me to look at a nigga and not laugh at you or be impressed with what you do.
Peace, world. To promote your music or promote your business by placing an ad on MRecktv, contact MRecktVpromo, MRecktVpromo at gmail.com. Peace. Oh yeah, subscribe to MRecktv, youtube.com/MRecktv. I'm gone. M.Reck TV.
It's gotta